Hello and welcome to the Banker Masterclass series. My name is Duygu Tavan. I'm the technology editor at the Banker, and with me today is Paul Jameson, Global Director for Financial Services at Cisco. Today we'll be talking about humans as a service and enabling true customer centricity. Paul, thanks a lot for joining us today. So today we'll be talking about the connected customer and whether banks have actually kind of disconnected from the customers. You'll be explaining to me what humans as a service are and how banks can make the best use of it. And then, of course, we'll have to touch upon big data. Yeah. So let's talk about customers and banks and how their relationship has evolved in the last few years. My impression is that banks have kind of disconnected while customers have become more connected with social media and other services. How can banks reconnect?
Well, I think it's really interesting. In spending time with financial institutions all through the world, for years we said we were going to use high tech to enable high touch, and that we were going to balance high tech, high touch. I think there's a recognition, especially in this highly connected world, that we used high tech to a large degree and removed high touch, and we actually pushed the customer away to a degree. And now there's quite an interest in, can we use high tech, and let's talk about that high tech, the same high tech that's connecting that consumer in their life, whether it be social media, whether it be perpetual networking, whether it be the high performance computing in a sense that's available to them anywhere. How can we take that? And so what we're seeing is a marriage of collaboration technologies, networking technologies, and advanced communications with video, allowing for us to now connect true expertise, i.e. the greatest level of high touch we can establish with our customers using high tech. And so there's an opportunity right now as customers come to us and as we're working and seeing some of the most advanced best practices out there to say, why can't we make our best people available to our customers based on segmentation analysis to meet the customer's need wherever that customer is. So whether they're in the home, in a branch, wherever, instead of the classic referral card, drive to our office on this time or this day. Now we can literally make our people available, and that kind of leads to the concept of humans as a service.
And the segmentation part is really interesting because we talked about this a few weeks ago as well. Nowadays, segmentation models have changed a little bit. Yeah. Maybe you can talk me through how that's changed.
Yeah. I mean, we used to look at classic demographics, right? You'd look at age, you'd look at location, income, and so forth. I thought it was really interesting when we heard from our colleagues from Guarantee Bank and Barclays and so forth talking about it's not the same situation. We can no longer just look at that static data. We actually have to look at behavior to establish our segmentation. Yeah. So discussions about the elderly using social media because it's more convenient to them due to maybe limitations of their transportation. Young people looking for financial advice, a classic Gen Y looking for it. So we're looking for behavior to establish our segments. So it really is interesting, and of course the challenge is, do we have that sometimes unstructured behavioral information available for us to analyze like we have historically with our more structured data?
And that connects really well with the ambitions to go back to high touch. So it would be a sort of a marriage between high technology and high touch.
Exactly.
I see. But could you, for instance, give us an example about how a bank could do this? You mentioned video, for instance.
Yeah, there's a great example. In fact, Bank of New Zealand just published this. This related to their small business lending practices, and I believe they were low in the rankings in their marketplace. And they fundamentally decided they wanted to make expertise available to their small business lending customers wherever they showed up. And largely they'd show up at any branch, and you'd go into any branch and they'd basically walk you into a room, and using the concept of a virtual expert, they would dynamically find maybe a tax expert, one of the lending experts, or some form of wealth management advisor to help them when they needed help. Then they could carry that to the home using things like WebEx technologies and other technologies to allow for that same interaction. So imagine I can go into any branch and the person who can service me the best is available to me Now the bank sits back and says, and I believe the quote was, their productivity increased 11-fold for this set of individuals, because the individuals didn't need to drive around trying to find the customer or schedule things with the customer. They were there whenever the customer needed them. And so they actually went to second in their marketplace in a very, very short period. I believe it was inside a year. They went from kind of in the back all the way to second by being where the customer wanted them, and by equipping the expert with the right information so they could serve them.
So it doesn't just mean, high touch doesn't no longer mean face-to-face or physically even present probably, as long as you have that sort of personal relationship, I guess.
What's face-to-face?
By that, I
is
meant
this
physical.
the only form of face-to-face? If, for example, I'm a virtual remote expert myself. So I have Cisco's telepresence unit in my home. And people say, oh, you must have an advanced setup. Actually, I have the normal service provider, setup for internet services in my home. I'm able to meet with people in China in the morning, people in Europe in the afternoon, people in California later in the day. I basically follow the sun, and I meet as we are here, in a high screen, high resolution environment. It's not to say you don't want to initially establish the relationship, but what it allows you to do is extend that relationship and expedite that relationship. So now face-to-face is quite different. And that face-to-face could go to your consumer's home. I would be very surprised if you don't see that face-to-face interaction being available on a television set, because today's TVs, what are they? They're internet enabled, they're high definition. So perhaps financial institutions will now start showing up in the home and making themselves extremely convenient to their consumer.
I see. So very customer-centric in a way.
I mean, what's more customer-centric than being where your customers want you to be when they need you with true expertise?